What theory will you put money down on today? Would the mafia kidnap a horse for ransom or for punishment? And what is Muammar Gaddafi's role in all of this? Find out the answers to these questions and more on this episode of Unsolved Mysteries. Solved!
I have a quick question.
Yeah? What's up?
Are they punishing the horse?
Maybe.
Because you said, would they kidnap it for punishment? Are they kidnapping it to punish its owner, or are they kidnapping it so they can punish the horse?
I mean, that is a good question, isn't it?
Because I feel like, why are they punishing a horse?
Well, I don't know. Maybe the horse gave them
Give them a 1-star review?
Yeah. They had to put the horse down because the horse gave the mafia a 1-star review. Oh gosh, I can't believe we're doing a horse episode directly after that. Anyways, was that on like the bonus episode or like the one that came out on Saturday?
That was last Saturday.
Okay, good. Anyways, hey everybody, welcome back. It's another beautiful, mysterious, fantabulous Saturday, and I am here with our lovely host, Dr. Chad Kimmons, PhD, hole-in-one mini-golf champion. And I am your gorgeous co-host, not that you can see me, Dr. Cassandra Cherry. Yes?
I am undefeated in mini golf.
As I figured.
And you got it wrong. It's hole in 0. I don't even have to hit the ball. It just goes in.
Yeah, you just glare at the ball and it's like, yes sir! It salutes and just starts rolling off down the hill.
I can be very persuasive when I get angry. And I get angry when I play mini golf, so.
Don't we all? Frickin' windmill. So, anyways, wait, hold on. This is Saturday. When's St. Patrick's? I know it's either today or it's somewhere around today. When?
Today is the 13th, so it'll be Wednesday.
Wednesday. Happy early St. Patrick's!
Yeah, because you picked a, quote, Irish mystery so that we could kind of have a theme for...
Exactly.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yes, because you can't have a holiday and you can't have a podcast airing near a holiday without acknowledging said holiday. It's thematic. And so, I wanted an Irish mystery, so I looked up Irish Unsolved Mysteries, and it gave me a top 5 list. And number 1 on the top 5 list was this: the mystery of the disappearance of Shergar. Now,
Sure.
who is... Yes, Shergar. Now, who is Shergar, you may ask? Well, he is quite the stud, in that he was a racing thoroughbred horse, a winner of many medals and races, and was retired to a breeding farm as a stud horse. Meaning he was being kept to breed with other lady horses and to, like, be milked for semen. They pay thousands of dollars for liters of that shit.
Yeah. When I worked for FedEx, I delivered bull semen. Not all the time, just like every once in a while. I would have to deliver these massive tanks of bull semen.
I mean, yeah, that's how the industry works, but it's just also so... And that's a thing. That's a thing. When dealing with livestock, that's a thing.
Yeah. It was real fun. I didn't even realize what it was the first time until I got there. And I was like, hey, I got a delivery for you. And she's like, oh, is that the bull semen? And I was like, is that the what now?
Oh, jeez. But yeah, Shergar himself was valued at like 10 million pounds in value after his owner, the Aga Khan, sold like 40 shares of his horse after winning the Epsom Derby. Epsom Derby. I can't English. It's not a real language. But he formed an owner's syndicate over the horse. The horse had it's a council that decided what happened to this horse.
Okay. Like a
very important horse.
Like a board of directors for a company?
Yeah, exactly. Just for this one horse. Okay. So you can imagine how something like that, a very movable asset, could be a target for, kidnap, ransom, embezzlement, stuff like that. And so let's get into the storyline.
I already know what happened to the horse.
Already? I haven't even told you what the circumstances surrounding the kidnapping were.
When did this happen?
February 8th, 1983.
Yeah, I stole the horse. Never mind the fact that I wouldn't be born for like 3.5 years, 2.5 years. I stole the horse.
You stole the horse. Are you confessing to being a time traveler?
I like how that's your takeaway. Not, are you confessing to being a thief of a $10 million or $10 million pound horse? Are you confessing to be a time traveler? Carries a much stricter punishment than stealing a horse worth 10 million pounds.
It's a very serious crime to mess with the time-space continuum. You're not even a licensed, telephone operator.
I assume that's a reference to Doctor Who because of the police
Yeah.
box.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what it was called. It's a TARDIS, and I couldn't remember. All I remembered was that it was a phone box.
But it puts the idea in my head. You have to be a licensed operator from the 1920s or some shit before they'll let you time travel.
That's so weird. What happens in the future if they don't have that job?
Have you looked outside lately? That's what happens. All of this, everything's going on in the world. That's what happens.
Oh, that makes sense.
Basically, the world is on fire. And it's because somebody time traveled, me, and didn't have a.
So Trump was your fault.
Everything's my fault.
Oh, this freezing weather is your fault. Oh
At least my ex would like me to believe. No, sorry. It's a really dumb joke, cliche joke, but I had to make it.
no. No, you're good. You're good. Anyways, moving on. So, assuming you were a part of this, you already know what I'm gonna talk about, right?
Yeah, you don't have to tell me, but, just in case the listeners haven't heard about this, maybe you should tell them what's going on.
Well, just make sure to correct me if I'm wrong in any place, okay?
Don't I always?
Of course. So, on February 8th in 1983, the family of one Jim Fitzgerald were taken hostage by 3 masked men. At the same time, the stud farm in Ballymenny Stud, near the Curragh, Kildare, where Fitzgerald worked as the head groom, was raided by another bunch of that armed and masked gang. The gang forced Fitzgerald at gunpoint to put Shergar in the back of a horse box, after which he was made to lie down on the floor of a van, while his head was covered by a coat. He was driven around for about 4 hours before finally being released in the village of Kilcock, 20 miles away.
It was 4 hours, 10 minutes, and 32 seconds to be exact. That was it should have been, because that's how long I told them to drive him around. So.
Okay, so you weren't in the car, but you were orchestrating this.
Yeah, when I say I stole it, I didn't actually do it. Come on.
Okay, yeah, you got patsies to do this for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so Fitzgerald was told by your patsies not to contact the Garda Síochána. I don't know how to pronounce Irish at all, but I wish I did. But the Garda, or the Gardaí, are the Irish police. So,
okay.
He was told not to contact them or he and his family would be killed. But he was to wait for the gang to contact him, and he was given the code phrase King Neptune, which the gang would use to identify themselves.
Okay, so they told him he would be killed if he contacted the police?
Yeah.
See, I told them to tell him that he would be given a buzz cut if he contacted the police. So I wasn't aware that they threatened his life. I do not condone that.
You don't condone that. How many years after the fact? It's 2021?
Shit, I didn't know.
Okay. Claim plausible deniability. Fine. So, but
that guy, a great head of hair. That guy, he was really attached to it. That's why I told him to give him, tell him they would buzz it all off if he called the police.
Well, maybe they kind of got it wrong and they thought maybe we should scalp him. Maybe that's what they thought.
I don't know. But they're going to get a stern talking to when I go back to 1983 again.
Of course. Just now that you've got all your bearings and see how everything's played out.
Yeah.
Anyways. Now this is where it starts to get really complicated, so just keep up with me, because I know that you probably weren't involved in this side of things.
Okay, we'll see.
So, Fitzgerald walked on to the next village and he called his brother to pick him up. When he got back to Ballymenny, he called Ghislaine Drion to tell him about the theft, but begged him not to call the police, fearing for his family's life. Drion then tried to reach the Aga Khan, but couldn't because the Aga Khan was in a meeting in Switzerland. So then Drian called Shergar's vet, who was also a shareholder, named Stan Crossgrove. And Stan Crossgrove called the manager of the Irish Thoroughbred Breeders Association, Sean Barry, who also happened to be a retired Irish Army captain. Barry then contacted Alan Dukes, a friend of his who was the serving Minister of Finance in Ireland, who suggested he speak to the Minister for Justice, Michael Noonan. Noonan and Dukes said, "Call the fucking police, you dingus!" And Drian finally got into contact with the Aga Khan, who also said, "What the hell are you waiting for? Call the police!" But by 4 a.m., the trail had already gone cold.
Yep.
You weren't on their side on the conversation. Like, that's all them trying to figure out what the hell to do about you.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, yep, that's...
All right.
Sounds,
does that track?
Yep, it sounds like a really complicated game of telephone. So
That's fair.
you know that game that you used to play where you would like whisper a phrase or a word in somebody's ear and then they would whisper it to the next person and so on and so forth?
Mm-hmm.
It's called telephone. This sounds like a really
Yes.
complicated game of that, but like in real life with high stakes.
I know, right? It's like, who wants to be a millionaire? Telephone edition.
And by the time it got to the Aga Khan, it's like, yeah, somebody poked your horse with a stick. And it's just like, why the f*** are you telling me this? I don't care.
It's just like, oh, bless his heart. Just like someone poked your horse with a stick and he's like, they better not have branded my beauty. I put so much money down on that horse, you wouldn't believe.
And then he finds out that somebody actually stole it. And he was like, what? He said that somebody poked it with a stick. Like, that there was no damage done. And then, like, the first guy's like, that's not at all what I said. I don't know how that got. Like,
oh, jeez.
This is a really dumb joke.
No, you're good. It's just like the horse ended up in a conga line doing the hula. Anyways, before any of that happened, that whole game of telephone, the thieves called up this completely different guy, a random Northern Ireland horse trainer named Jeremy Maxwell.
Jacques
demanded-
Lepew. Oh, yeah, that was his name, Jeremy Maxwell.
Of course. And demanded £40,000 at first. And then they raised it to like $52K during the conversation. The kidnappers also demanded that negotiations only be carried out by British horse racing journalists Derek Thompson, John Oaksley, and Peter Campling, and that they were all to be at the Europa Hotel in central Belfast by Thursday.
Right, and fun fact, those three used to be really good friends, and they had a feud and a falling out. See, the whole point of me stealing this horse... Sorry, I know this is really dumb. The whole point of me stealing this horse was that I saw that these three had a falling out, and I was like, man, I really want to make sure that they get back together. They were the best of friends. So I orchestrated the whole thing. Yeah, that's why
that's so neat.
That's why I had them request such a small amount for a horse valued at 10 million pounds.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay. But so, once there, just so the audience knows, because you already clearly know what happened.
Yeah, clearly.
The journalists were then directed to Maxwell's house. There were a series of short calls that the police tried and failed to trace, because they never stayed on longer than like 80 seconds. But at 7 a.m. on February the 12th, a final call was put in that something had gone terribly wrong and that Shergar was dead.
Wait, the horse died?
Yeah, that's what they said.
I don't remember the horse dying.
Well, maybe you can clear that up, because at the same time those sets of calls were going on, there was a second line of communication opened with Drian at the Ballymoney Stud. Not some random guy in Northern Ireland, but actually one of the people involved in the syndication. So, there were a lot of problems with that call, apparently, given that Drian was French and not a fluent English speaker and couldn't really understand the thick Irish accent of the caller. And similarly, the Irishman couldn't understand Drian's thick French accent.
Nobody could understand me because I was using a Russian accent while speaking Latin.
What the hell? Seriously?
Fucking mole people!
Fucking mole people! But 90 minutes later, they tried again, with each of them speaking much more slowly, and hopefully you just stayed out of it.
Yeah, I just let them do their thing.
Just imagine. Just this one person, parlez-vous français? And then this other person being like, I don't understand the fucking thing you're talking about, mate. And suddenly they're Australian, not Irish at all. I can't do accents. And then you're coming in with like, oh, what's the Russian anthem?
I don't know. Actually, I started singing God Save the Queen in Latin while using a Russian accent.
That sounds beautiful. Could you do a reenactment for me, just so that we get like?
I cannot. It was a one-time performance.
Oh, okay.
Once in a lifetime.
You had to practice for that role.
Yeah, the Irish were not happy about it because.
Oh, I can imagine.
Especially in the 1980s. Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, they wouldn't have been happy about it, but they didn't speak Latin, so they didn't know I was singing God Save the Queen.
I mean, you think they would be able to tell from the tune alone?
I put it to a different tune.
How do you do that?
God, I could say to you, God, there's just too much with this bit.
It's okay. Okay, so moving on from God Save the Queen, because God save me. This time, with this call, the French and the Irish and the God Save the Queen, this time the thieves demanded a ransom of £2 million, promising his safe return, Shergar's, the horses, we can't forget this is all about a horse, his safe return on payment.
Right.
Sorry,
go
yeah.
No, that's dumb.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, this is the point where they cut me out completely and just took over.
Really?
That's why they raised it to £2 million.
That's a shame. That's a right shame, that is.
Yeah, I actually had to bounce back to the future at that point because they were threatening to kill me.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe you can help clear up like who you were working with at the end of this here, because there's a lot of different theories. So, negotiations commenced between the kidnappers and the representatives of the Aga Khan, and negotiated from their Paris office. However, the remaining 35 shareholders in the syndicate were hesitant to pay the ransom. The shareholders feared that capitulating to this kind of kidnapping and ransom thing would encourage more people to try and do the same thing in the future with other horses. It's like, we can't have a rash of that.
Right.
So while they were hesitating and they're trying to figure out what to do, they demanded proof on the 11th that Shergar was still alive. Because, there was speculation going around in the media that the horse is probably dead by this point, and they're like, is he? We don't want to pay a ransom for a dead horse. But things didn't go as planned.
But we'll beat it with this joke about me being there in the past. Get it?
Scotty!
Beating a dead horse?
Yep, I get that.
This means like running a joke into the ground?
It's gonna become an undead horse here in a second.
It's like you just keep taking the joke and just keep going and going and going until...
We get it.
You get it? Do you see what I'm doing right now?
I see what you're doing. We get it. Okay, so the kidnappers had set up a meeting at the Crofton Hotel in Dublin and told the
because you just keep going with the joke and you never stop. Sorry.
Chad, let me finish the story.
All right, I'll just go ahead and start that part over.
Okay, it's funny though. That's a good bit though. Okay, so the kidnappers had set up a meeting at the Crofton Hotel in Dublin and told the representative to ask for any messages from Johnny Logan, who's an Irish singer for people who are in America and don't know anything about Irish singers.
Tell me about Johnny Logan.
Mm-hmm. You know Johnny Logan very personally, I imagine.
That sounds sexual.
Who knows? It might be.
You're turning me into Jack Harkness over here. Time-traveling pansexual.
Who knows? You might be. However, the representative naturally came with armed members of the Special Detective Unit of the Gardaí, who waited in the lobby undercover. However, they were found out. And later, after they had never been contacted and went back to the Ballymenny, they were called by the kidnappers, and the kidnappers threatened to kill the negotiators and the police if they tried that kind of stunt again.
Okay.
On the 12th, the kidnappers left pictures for the negotiators of Shergar's head next to a copy of the Irish News dated on the 11th at the Rosemary Hotel. Crossgrove confirmed that it was definitely Shergar, but he couldn't be sure that the horse was still alive from those photos alone. Hearing this, the kidnappers declared, "If you're not satisfied, that's it. dropped the call, and never contacted them again.
Because that horse was definitely dead.
Yeah, probably if it's just a headshot next to a newspaper. It's like, is his eyes rolling back in his head? That's suspicious. But despite nationwide Garda searches, nothing was ever learned about Shergar's whereabouts, nor about the gang that took him. Numerous diviners, clairvoyants, and psychics offered their help, to no avail. They started having to turn away all of the psychics because there was like 50 of them that tried to offer their services.
Jesus.
And over the course of their search, however, they did find a number of IRA safe houses filled with arms and explosives. So, the syndicate committee put together a report about for the rest of the syndicate about what happened, and they concluded that the theft of Shergar was either undertaken to create confusion and publicity rather than obtaining money, or that the negotiations were undertaken with naivety. They're talking about you, Chad. Many of the demands that were made were physically impossible. The ransom demand included 100-pound notes, which did not exist.
That's on me. I didn't realize that at the time.
In one call at 5:45 p.m. to Dryan in Ballymeny, he was told to deliver the 2 million pounds to Paris before noon the following day. And in a call at 5 p.m., the Paris negotiators were told to get 2 million pounds by the end of the night after the Parisian banks had already closed. And in another call, the negotiator in Paris was told to get an agreement for a ransom, but told he should not contact anyone in Ireland, despite some of the shareholders being there. So, it became clear during the course of the negotiations that the gang thought that the Aga Khan was the sole owner of Shergar. They had no idea about the other shareholders, the other 35 shareholders. Did not take into account the complexity of that legality.
Again, that's on me.
Uh-huh.
Much like with the podcast, I didn't do my research before I went to, steal a horse.
I mean, you stole from the Aga Khan. You know who the Aga Khan is, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
You bet.
We're...
You sure did, said it. What?
Uh-huh. Okay, so to put it in perspective for the listeners, because I was sort of expecting you not to already know who the Aga Khan was and to go, who's the Aga Khan, Cass? And I'm like, well, I have an entire paragraph here talking about who the Aga Khan is. But...
Yeah, tell them. Tell them, not me, because, yep.
Uh-huh. So, the Aga Khan is actually named Prince Shah Karim al-Husseini. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but he's a prince, known by the religious title Maulana Hazar Imam and Aga Khan IV. He is the 49th and current Imam of the Nizari Ismailism, which is a denomination of Ismailism within Shia Islam. It's
right.
Yeah. It's the largest segment of the Ismaili Muslims, which is the second largest branch of Shia after the Twelvers. And the Twelvers is usually what everyone associates with Shia.
Yep.
But he is worth $13 billion, approximately, and is one of the world's 15 richest royals, according to Forbes.
Is this guy still alive?
Oh yeah, he's alive today.
Oh. Okay.
And he's got this organization that helps him work toward things like eliminating global poverty, the promotion and implementation of religious pluralism, the advancement of the status of women, and honoring Islamic art and architecture. Since he started his rule, he has been involved in negotiating the independence of several African countries from colonial rule, the independence of several Central Asian countries like Tajikistan from the Soviet Union, and he is currently trying to help resolve the turmoil in Pakistan and Afghanistan. This is the guy you stole from.
You don't have to tell me. I knew that already.
This is the guy you stole a horse from. He has one pleasure, apparently, in his pastime, and it's racing horses.
Not that one anymore.
Nope, apparently not. There's finally one last thing before we get onto the theories. Just because I thought this was kind of funny, but someone decided to play one last trick on the shareholders. 8 weeks after Shergar was stolen, Stan Crossgrove was approached by senior detectives within the Gardaí, who introduced him to Dennis Minigue, a horse trainer. Minigue claimed to have a contact within the IRA who had shown him a photograph of Shergar, and he said he could help get Shergar released for a ransom of like 80,000 pounds. The Gardai asked Cosgrove to assist them in a sting operation to lure the thieves out. Cosgrove agreed, and on the 20th of July in 1983, Detective Garda Martin Kenierans assisted the operation. He put the money in the boot of his car in a remote village, which Minigue was to collect once the horse had been released. The following day, Kenierans found the boot of his car forced open and the money missing. Minigue had also disappeared, and the money was never recovered. A subsequent internal Gardai inquiry dismissed Kenierans from the force for breaching Gardai regulations. And he, in an interview in 2018, reiterated his long-stated innocence and said, "When it all went wrong, everyone jumped for the high ground. The senior Gardai officers all denied they had anything to do with the ransom."
I don't know why, but I thought you were going to say the senior Gardai all denied that they had the high ground.
We don't have the high ground, Anakin. We just don't.
We don't stand for democracy! For the Republic!
We actively engaged in fraud.
We deal in absolutes.
But yeah.
Okay.
So, on to the theories.
Right.
What do you think are the sort of theories that have been floating around? I imagine you haven't been paying much attention to that sort of thing.
I mean, you mentioned mafia. Was that just a red herring?
Well, it was one of the theories that were, like, ranging around. There was this sort of rumor going around that the American mafia did this to punish the Aga Khan for the sale of another horse in America, because, you know, the Kentucky Derby and all that.
Uh-huh.
And that sale had gone really badly.
Okay.
So people were thinking, like, maybe the American mafia did this to get back at him.
And so it was nothing about, they weren't even trying to get money, they were just f***ing with him because...
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah. And there was another theory that Colonel Gaddafi, Muammar Gaddafi, that Gaddafi from Libya...
Gaddafi that got stabbed in the butt to death?
Yep. There was a theory that he did it to make a deal to supply arms to the IRA.
Okay.
Then there was another person who claimed to have seen the missing Lord Lucan riding Shergar through a field, which is weird and very fey. But that's another mystery entirely.
Okay.
However, the most plausible theory is that the kidnap was organized by a splinter group of the IRA.
Right.
And this was sort of supported in about, like, 1999, when a supergrass, aka an informant who turns in information to get immunity, but a supergrass formerly in the IRA named Sean O'Callahan came out and said flat out that they stole the horse to raise money for arms. But the IRA has never admitted any role in the theft. So, do you know any Sean O'Callahan? Can you corroborate that sort of a claim there?
No, I can't. I don't know who the hell that is.
That's a shame. Okay, well, I was hoping we could get, like, some solid evidence here, considering you were there for this all, like, at least halfway through.
Yeah, no, I don't know that person.
That's a shame. But as for Shergar, the thought is that the kidnappers were inexperienced with horses and either unintentionally injured him and then had to kill him, because, you know, you can't take a horse with a broken leg to a veterinarian.
Right.
Or they deliberately put the horse down and buried him over the fears of releasing Shergar while the Garda was still actively surveilling the area.
Right. Okay.
No arrests have ever been made in connection with the theft, and no body has ever been recovered.
Well, they wouldn't be, because I covered my tracks really well.
Oh yeah? How did you cover your tracks?
I didn't. That was a complete fabrication.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know?
I mean, no, I know it happened. I was waiting to see if you had more.
Oh no, that's it. That's the end of my script.
So check it out.
All right, what am I checking?
So there was a stable boy who didn't know anything about horses and their dietary needs. And
okay, then how did he get that job?
Pure dumb luck. He literally stumbled into it. He stumbled into the stables, and they pushed a broom into his hands, and they were like, "All right, take care of the horses." And he was like, "Got it. You got it.
Okay.
Yep, governor.
Look at the staples now. The staples.
Gotta muck out the staples. Anyway, so he fed this horse just a shitload of deviled eggs.
What? Why deviled eggs?
Because he had a bunch left over from a party he had last night. I don't know.
Who feeds a horse deviled eggs? Why not feed me those deviled eggs?
This stable boy, apparently. Good lord. Keep up!
Damn. Okay, fine. Mr. Time Traveler.
So, the horse died, and
damn.
So the stable boy enlisted some friends, and they concocted this whole story. Just ignore the logical fallacies here, or the holes in the story.
I mean, I don't see any holes so far, except how a guy who didn't know anything about horses got a job as a stable boy and then decided to feed a horse eggs.
Would you get off the eggs? Would you stop focusing on the eggs?
those eggs. I'm hungry.
Anyway, concocted this whole story with help, and then they started, the random different calls were to throw people off the trail. And this way he avoided punishment from the Aga Khan. And the whole deviled egg thing, I gotta tell you, came from, I was looking at Facebook earlier and I saw a picture of deviled eggs, and it reminded me that I had a dream last night where I was gorging myself on deviled eggs for some reason. And then my sister, who doesn't exist, came in and was like, hey, don't eat all those deviled eggs. You gotta leave some for Dad. My dad's dead.
What is going on?
And so I told her, Dad died like 3 years ago. He's not going to want deviled eggs. And also, you don't exist. I mean, I didn't say that in the dream. But she was like, no, he's coming back for Christmas. And I was like, it's the middle of July. I swear to God, this is a real dream I had.
Holy shit. Alternate universe, he was having a time.
And then we got into a literal physical fist fight about the deviled eggs. And that's when I woke up.
Holy shit, deviled eggs will kill the universe.
So deviled eggs were on my brain, and that's where the theory came from. So what's your theory, Cass?
I don't know. All I can think about is deviled eggs. I shouldn't have started recording when I was still hungry. Okay, my theory. My theory, just not to beat a dead horse, but I think you didn't leave when you said you left. I think you sort of stuck around a little bit.
Oh, I was completely scrapping that as a bit, but I mean, if you want to go with me being a time traveler, feel free.
No, I love this bit. Let me revel in the bit.
All right, go for it.
Okay, so you stated that you did this to get these three friends back together, more or less.
Yeah.
And I believe you when you said that. I looked into your eyes over the distance of time and space, because we can do that even though we don't have face cams on.
Yeah, co-hosts of podcasts have that ability. So.
Yes, exactly. And I believed you.
Okay.
And so, but I don't think that you were involved in the other half of the equation. Maybe you didn't know who the Aga Khan was or how valuable the horse was, and that explains some things. But
hold on, I've already stated that I did know who the Aga Khan was. Are you calling me a liar?
I just stated that I believed you.
Says the man who came up with a bullshit thing about being a time traveler.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
Excuse me, ma'am. Are you calling me a liar? Are you saying I didn't time travel in 1983?
Okay, I believe that you quote-unquote knew who the Aga Khan was, but maybe you didn't know about the shareholders and how valuable the horse was and everything.
Okay.
And so, you were behind that first group of phone calls, but you didn't realize that you had got a bunch of IRA as your help, as your hired help, and so they had their own agenda. And so, you were doing everything in good faith, and them not necessarily. And so when they accidentally killed Shergar by spooking the horse and the horse accidentally breaking his leg, and then they killed him to put him down because they didn't want to be responsible for that.
Right.
You were like, I gotta get out of here, and that's when you bailed. So I'm calling you out. You knew Shergar was dead, and then you just booked it because you can time travel, but you can't time travel back past where you time travel to, you can't change the things that you were already a part of.
I can confirm or deny that, but I refuse to.
Okay. Okay.
You know, because people are always like, I can neither confirm or deny that. I could if I wanted to. I'm just not
But
gonna.
you choose not to.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. But that's my theory.
Well, your theory's wrong. Clearly it was the deviled eggs thing.
Clearly. So you're calling yourself out for not being a time traveler?
Which is more believable, me time traveling to 1983 or a stable boy feeding a 10 million pound horse a bunch of deviled eggs?
I don't know, man. I heard the sincerity in your voice.
Well, it's definitely one of these two things. Either I'm a time traveler. You know what? Maybe I fed the horse deviled eggs in the past.
Did you?
No.
Now you're blaming a poor, innocent stable
Yes,
boy?
I fed the deviled eggs to the horse and concocted this whole story and blamed the stable boy. So...
Just to throw us off your trail, how devilish eggs of you.
Sure. One way or another, that horse is dead. Like...
It's a shame.
So...
No body was ever recovered. Poor baby.
But regardless, I think that's going to wrap us up for this one.
Yeah, more or less.
We did solve it. So, I mean, we clearly f***ed it. But don't you dare say that we did not.
Don't question us or we'll put you down like we put down Shergar.
And that other horse. Shergar was the horse that left us a 1-star review.
Oh no! Poor Shergar. It happened too fast.
Anyway, as usual, if you have a podcast you want us to review, what? If you have a mystery that you want us to solve right here on the podcast, or if you want to send us death threats or whatever, you can do that with a quick email to mysteriessolvedpodcast, all one word, at gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at UMS_podcast, on Facebook at Unsolved Mysteries Solved. You can subscribe to our Patreon and hear the new free episode that just came out. Our Patreon is patreon.com/Unsolved Mysteries Solved. We've still got the Discord and the Facebook group and all that, and I think that's it, unless you have something else, Cass.
No, that's pretty much it. I might have news in the near future, but not yet.
Well, we will be back next Saturday with a brand new mystery to solve. And
absolutely.
In the meantime, in between time, y'all have a happy St. Patrick's Day. Be safe. Don't go out to bars and shit, because COVID's still a thing.
Kiss your partner if they're Irish.
And don't question us or you'll be put down. So,
like Shergar.
Yeah.
Poor baby.
Anyway, say goodbye, Cass.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Thanks for listening. F***ing mole people!
So I've been asked to do some promo for these two lads, Ryan and Paul, for their podcast, Cold Callers Comedy. Quite honestly, I've never listened to it because it sounds like shit. But what I can tell you is that my show, Artie's Hardest Acts, is one of the segments, and that is an absolute peaky blinder you can't miss out on.
Whoa, what the hell, Tom?
You meant to promote our show, not slag it off. I couldn't care less, mate.
Well, you should. You're on the podcast.
Yeah, how about a little gratitude? Bane, show 'em how grateful we are.
Your precious podcast. Gratefully accepted.
We're not giving it to you.
Admirable. What a mistake.
So yeah, listen to my show Cold Callers Comedy on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon and all the other podcast platforms.
The podcast rises. Come here.